Before I introduce Dave, are you guys ready? Ready to have fun? Yeah.
Good afternoon. My name is Brian Reeves, serving as president of the Missouri Music Educators Association. To begin our performance, would you please help me welcome to the stage the president of the Missouri Bandmasters Association, Paul Fleege.
Good afternoon. My name is Paul Fleege, and I am president of the Missouri Bandmasters Association. To ensure our performers and attendees have a rewarding experience, we ask that all cell phones, smart devices, or other personal electronic devices be powered off or silenced. Please refrain from taking still photographs during this performance. MMEA copyright prohibits the use of audio and video recording devices during performances. Audio and video recordings of performances are available for purchase in the lobby. At the conclusion of this performance, please exit the salon at the rear of the hall. You may meet and greet the students in the lobby and registration area. At this time, I would like to introduce President-elect and All-State Band Coordinator, Kenny Hansen.
Good afternoon and welcome to the annual performance of your 2019 Missouri All-State Band. It has been an honor and a privilege to work with these fine musicians this week. I call this ensemble your 2019 All-State Band because whether you realize it or not, you have each helped create this ensemble. Everyone in this room plays a role that directly or indirectly impacts the lives of the students on stage. Parents, administrators, mentors, private teachers, and generations of band directors have all influenced each other with their knowledge and support that ultimately makes its way to the teaching of the band that sits before you. A band like this doesn't happen without some amazing people doing some amazing things. I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge some specific groups of people that are critical to the all-state band process. Thank you to the 11 MMEA district band vice presidents for organizing and running their respective district band auditions and concerts. Thank you to our local administrators for being so supportive of our bands and our young people. Thank you to the musicians who judged our 1,300 all-state auditions back on December the 1st. There's 106 students sitting in front of you. There were 1,300 students hoping to be there. That's amazing. Thank you so much to Joe Hall for his help with everything percussion. You won't see him today, but he has helped organize a setup for each song. He's moved the percussion equipment back and forth from up the hill to down the hill 3 times. And we definitely appreciate everything that he has done for us. Hey, step out. This is a video to see you, Joe. Thank you so much. A special thank you to Donovan Bankhead and Springfield Music for supplying the 10 whistles that we will use in today's performance during the Minstrels of the Kells, the Reelin' and Jiggin' section. So thank you so much to Donovan and Springfield Music. I want to thank the Missouri Bandmasters Association Board of Directors for their hard work and dedication to building better bands in Missouri. We need to thank the Executive Board of MMEA under the leadership of President Brian Reeves, who you just heard, for running a terrific convention that provides music teachers with the best resources available. We need to thank our piano player, Patrick Dell. He's a teacher in the Columbia Public Schools. Our performance today definitely wouldn't happen without him, and you'll get to see his expertise soon. We also need to thank the Waynesville Music Department for their supply of our percussion equipment we used in our rehearsals, and some of that equipment that we are still using today for our performance. Thank you all for your time, your talent, and your contribution to the All-State Band. Can you get a round of applause for that? Last, there are three groups of people we want to recognize. First, if you were a member of any previous Missouri All-State Band, could you please stand so we can be recognized? Next, if you are a band director or a private instructor of one of these outstanding musicians, would you please stand so we can say thank you for your contribution to music education and to these performers. And finally, the most important group, the parents. The people that paid for the instruments, who drove them to all the extra rehearsals, to the lessons, to the concerts, the auditions. Would you please stand so we can show you our appreciation for your support and encouragement. It is now my pleasure to introduce the conductor of the 2019 Missouri All-State Band. Dr. Wilson is the director of bands and professor of conducting at Baylor University. His numerous honors and achievements are included in your program for your perusal. When we began at 8 o'clock on Wednesday night, we didn't know how the 2019 All-State experience would unfold. We've had the opportunity to be guided by a master teacher and musician. The ensemble is encouraged to play with the right mindset so we may experience all that the music had to offer. We even had the opportunity to rehearse without lights. It was actually an amazing hour of making music and some really amazing memories. It has been an extraordinary time to witness this band grow so much in such a short amount of time. I could talk for hours about how wonderful these 3 days have been for all of us, but I won't. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please, you're in for a treat, and would you please welcome to the stage at this time your 2019 Missouri All-State Band and their fine conductor, Dr. Eric Wilson.
Thank you so much. We have a little bit of setup between each piece, so if you don't mind, if you'll indulge me, I'll just make a few announcements to make things a little bit less awkward in the silence. Can you believe that this group of individuals that did not know each other for the most part spent less than 18 hours to put together this entire program at a very high level? It's incredibly demanding. You'll hear that later. All of these groups that I have heard, I've sat through 2 performances earlier today. I am so inspired by these young people. But 18 hours to put together an entire performance, that is incredible. I think we can acknowledge that. Steve Daniel is an incredible composer, younger than me, and Dr. Armstrong, and lives in New York. And growing up as a saxophonist, learned the jazz language idiom. Especially was enamored with the blues scale and how you could play a minor chord and a major chord all within the same scale, and it was amazing to him. And then he ran across this idea of the train motif, and you'll hear in this next piece in very contemporary rhythmic and structured fashion, but brilliantly laid out and orchestrated with the train whistles. You'll actually hear a whistle, you'll hear the chimes with the railroad crossing, you'll hear falls in the trombones and the saxophones like the whistles. And it is such a wonderfully contemporary piece, but very accessible. Now I know if you've watched HGTV, you know that Waco is the Magnolia home. So it just seemed appropriate that we play a piece with Magnolia. Now I don't know Chip and Joanna Gaines personally. We did attend the same church, but they're escorted in and out before, now they're so famous. So, and some people don't have a clue what I'm saying right now. But anyway, look it up. You'll appreciate it. But the Magnolia Star is the train line that ran from New Orleans up to the Midwest and the Mississippi River. So I think you'll enjoy this. The jazz and the train motifs. Here is Magnolia Star by Several years ago, back in 2014 to be exact, Ola Yeglo, the choral, was a composer of a lot of different genres, but very well known for his choral works. I contacted him about one of his pieces called Serenity to perform at the Midwest Band and Orchestra Clinic in Chicago, which is
to twist his arm to do that arrangement, but it worked out really well. And in fact, 2 years later, he sent me an email saying, I have another piece that I'd like to collaborate with you on. And he said, this one is probably the dearest to my heart. And so, boy, you just can't mess this one up, right? If the composer tells you this. So we worked together, and this next piece was a result of that, Sonatus. So we performed that, but before that, I wanted to let you know that I gave the students some reading assignments. I had to read an article by Carl Polnick, who addressed the parents of incoming freshman classes at the Boston Conservatory. And I want to read to you just a couple of paragraphs at the end that talks about our profession, our art form, and its impact upon us and our society today. He concludes his article as such. If we were a medical school and you were here as a med student practicing appendectomies, you'd take your work very seriously because you would imagine that some night at 2 a.m., someone is going to waltz into your emergency room and you're going to have to save their life. Well, my friends, someday at 8 p.m., someone's going to walk into your concert hall and bring you a mind that is confused, a heart that is overwhelmed, a soul that is weary. Whether they go out whole again will depend partly upon how well you do your craft. You're not here to become an entertainer, and you don't have to sell yourself. The truth is, you don't have anything to sell, because being a musician isn't about dispensing a product like used Chevys. I'm not an entertainer. I'm a lot closer to a paramedic, a firefighter, a rescue worker. You're here to become a sort of therapist for the human soul, a spiritual version of a chiropractor, physical therapist, someone who works with our insides to see if they get things to line up, to see if we can come into harmony with ourselves and be healthy and happy and well. Frankly, ladies and gentlemen, I expect you not only to master music, I expect you to save the planet. If there is a future of peace for humankind, if there is to be an understanding of how these invisible internal things should fit together, I expect it will come from the artists, because that's what we do. want to thank the Board of Directors for MMA, MMEA and MBA for the invitation. I've been looking forward to this for several years. Paul Leach, Kenny Hansen, just extraordinary people, incredibly organized and informative. And I've really enjoyed getting to spend time and hang out and have dinner and just talk informally with them. Just amazing, amazing people. Joe Hull, working with these percussionists, you'll hear in this next piece that they made this up. There's a percussion section, there's no music written down, and they composed it themselves, so I appreciate him and them for all the moving of equipment and the creation and improvising, etc. I enjoyed the Phi Beta Nu chapter luncheon. Thank you so much for the invitation. Patrick Dell, you'll hear now in the next two pieces, a pianist, an educator in the state. So grateful to have him and his professionalism. You know, this thing, being here was an interesting thing for me personally because I arrived ill, and I tried to keep that on the down low. It just was not feeling great, but I finally told them, but I told Kenny, I'm only going to tell you, but if I run out of the room, I'm coming back, but it might take a minute. But these young people have inspired me back to health, and I never get sick, but it just was what it was, and that's fine. But I was so determined to give my best to them, and I hope that we all accomplish that. It will be a memorable experience. The power outage, that was something new. Conducting in the dark, literally for an hour. It's great things. Foam lights, that makes awesome. I've never conducted with a glow stick before, but now I have. Getting to sit and listen to Mahler 2 and the All-State Orchestra sets off the fire alarm, that was cool. And then just in being inspired by that choir concert. Anton, amazing work with those children, not children, professionals, like you said. Man, I was so inspired to come up here, and these people have just inspired me every time. More about that in just a minute. But I'm so grateful to be here. This next piece, you've already heard the surprise that we have for you, thanks to the kindness of our music colleagues. We're going to surprise you with the sounds of those penny whistles. But Dan Welcher's a composer from UT Austin. We're going to play the second movement called Reelin' and Jiggin'. Sounds just like Irish as it is. But from a larger work called Minstrels of the Kells. I think you're going to like this one. hard song to put together, and especially in such a short time. I'm so proud of them. I want to thank, as we've already heard, the administrators that have supported the programs, that provide funding, that hire the teachers to do extraordinary work, that give their life to showing up every day, early, staying late. No stipend can fill in the gaps for the amount of hours that they spend. To see the way they commit to our children and share this incredibly powerful art form. I'm so grateful to you and for what you're doing in the state. And hearing the orchestra and the choir, and I heard the jazz a little bit, and then these guys, and it's really special here. Keep doing what you're doing. It does make a difference. It will help empower these students to experience beauty when this world doesn't always give us that. But music is a life source. And without it, I think it would be a very dark and very empty experience. And these young people, they may not all choose to perform professionally or teach, but they will walk away and enter their professional lives deeply enriched because of the experiences that they've had and the impact that you have had upon their lives. The private teachers, of course, a lot of those one-on-one hours in the practice room, and to the families, the parents, the grandparents, the siblings, the aunts and uncles, the loved ones that selflessly give of their resources and their time and their energy, shuttling them late at night and early in the morning, and sacrificing your own sleep and your own professional goals for the support of these. Thank you. Lastly, I want to share my appreciation to you guys on the stage. Thank you for giving of yourselves, for the professionalism that you demonstrated, for the welcoming spirit, the responsiveness. You just seemed to buy in right from the beginning. And I challenged you to show up and be seen and heard and interact, and we become family, and I'll never, ever forget it. Thank you for the way that you blessed my life. I go home a very full person. Thank you for your love and for your attention to detail and responding to my, no, that's not good enough, you can do better. Thank you for never backing down and basically just saying, bring it on, baby. I got more where that came from. Thank you for the way that you blessed me, but there's been a lot of directors, and many of you are here in and out of the room. Thank you for your support and for being there. And you can see remarkably how these young people grew. I told them the first night on Wednesday at 8 to 10 p.m., I said, I want you to capture this, freeze frame it, and I want you to remember we played through the whole program, and I said, you will be amazed at the amount of progress you will make. So I'm so honored. This next work is a profound work, and I want to just briefly tell you a little bit about David Maslenka. He's an incredible man who unfortunately lost his life to cancer about 18 months ago. I had the opportunity to spend a lot of time with David. He came to Baylor a few times. We traveled together on tour. We spent a lot of time on the bus, in rehearsal, in hotel rooms, over meals. And it was one of the most profoundly sad days when I heard that he had passed. As I listened to Mahler earlier today, I thought, I wonder how many composers of band music expressed such deep emotional intensity like Mahler did, even in that movement of the Resurrection Symphony. And I couldn't help but think about David Maslenka and what he brought. You're going to hear two movements of pieces of this piece. And I want to read you word for word what David said once. Regarding the extremes of intensity and colors and just the impact that his music just poured out of him. He said, I don't necessarily think of myself in these forceful emotions, and I just recently realized that what a tremendously emotional person that I am. After all these years of composing, I am powerfully so. I can't deny it any longer. So go with me in the music. A lot of this music, at the beginning particularly, is very quiet and poignant and spacious and beautiful. Just enjoy the quiet. And it ends in powerful force. And so in David's words, just travel with us. Just go with the music. Thank you.
On behalf of the Missouri Bandmasters Association and the Missouri Music Education Association, I'd like to present Dr. Wilson with this certificate in appreciation for this performance. What a wonderful week it's been, and it's a memory that these students will carry with them throughout their entire lives. Thank you, Dr. Wilson.
Thank you to all of these outstanding students, and to each of you for your support of music education. This concludes the 81st Annual MMEA In-Service Workshop and Conference. From all of us in MMEA, we wish you a safe